Dominant Ireland, Wales in an absolute hole. There was no way that Wales could win against Ireland on Saturday, but my goodness me, they pushed it close. And I've got Elko here with me to talk about it. Welcome back to our Six Nations series. There he is.
ATT, skin of our teeth job, wasn't it?
Yeah, how are you feeling? Have the nerves calmed down now? Because this is now Saturday evening. We've watched the other game. How's the sort of general feeling?
Well, I needed that English Scotland game just to chill out and realise things aren't all that bad. um, but it was look, we were tweeting and texting and last night. That Welsh under 20s game put the heebie-jeebies up me last night. They were exceptional and a credit to their country. And you could just see, I could feel things moving towards potentially a bit of a banana skin. Wales, never underestimate the Welsh. They're a proud country and full of talent and vigor and aggression. And then I was in the pub this earlier this afternoon, and then the Cian Prendergast thing came, and I went, "Oh, I wonder, is it COVID or do they have they eaten something? Is something going on?" And it was just heebie-jeebies, but I feel a lot better now. Put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, yeah, that was the big news pre-game. Cian Prendergast dropped out, I think through injury or sickness, I'm not sure, but Ryan Baird
Sickness, yeah,
onto the
sickness.
bench. Goodness. Yeah, no mean replacement, obviously, having played in the other fixtures so far this tournament. And just pre-game, I love what the Welsh did with it. A bit of ACDC, like light shows. Like it felt like a real good atmosphere in the stadium pre-game.
Yeah, they went for it. They went for it as they always do, and they don't need to do any of that. It's always absolutely hyper down there, isn't it? With the roof closed, as spoken about the other day, and yeah, I think they felt that maybe there was something on the cards, that might be. But yeah, it was a good build up. It felt good. I sent you a link last night. There was still tickets available to buy at the ninth hour last night, but they sold them all, and it was a full house. I couldn't see any empty seats. So fair play.
Yeah. And Wales started actually very nicely. They got the ball fairly soon after the start of the game and played some nice phases. And actually, with some good structure, but most importantly, with people running off the ball, looking like they wanted the ball, looking like they were going to get the ball. And that was holding Irish defenders. And they managed to maintain that for a lot of the game as well. So I think Wales put some massive steps forward in this game in terms of their attacking structure, but also the application of it, I think more so.
Oh, huge difference, massive difference, and Gatland, I say, was watching that through, behind the couch sort of thing because it's exposed them. When you've got a coach in there that instills belief and simple but effective structure, you could see the diamonds that was the Welsh players had three or four options each time, literally from the first kickoff. And as we do, we write a few notes down. I straight away Ireland kick long to Faletau, and he stepped. I don't know who chased from the Ireland side, but he stepped, boom, got the front foot, got game on. I was like, oh god, here we go, because he played bloody well today, and that gets the crowd into it straight away. It gets the youngsters into straight away. What we've been told works. Back it, play, is what we thought would happen.
Yeah, it was Big Joe McCarthy actually stepped because it was such a good step. I was like, oh, who did he do then? So I always like to look it out. But I
The
mean,
mullet.
McCarthy went on to have a really good game. I thought so. A terrible start, missing a tackle in the first minute, but had a really solid game all round. However, Wales were getting to edges, so they were playing well, moving the ball, accurate passing, good dummy runners, getting to edges. But Ireland were often then kind of ambushing them, turning them over. And that led to a 50-22 very early doors from Gary Ringrose, who whacked it down the touchline. That gave Ireland position in the 22, and they just bludgeoned away. And mentioning Joe McCarthy, it was him who had the really dominant carry that led to Conan powering over through Thomas Williams. And it looked ominous, I would say, at that stage, really, because once Ireland got position, it just looked like they could score if they wanted to.
Yeah, the worst possible thing to happen. Um, yeah, it looked textbook, sort of, 50-20 our ball, play, phase, easy cut through from, not easy, but you know what I mean. Expected aggressive carry from McCarthy, and then a superb finish from Conan, who's fighting for his, putting his hands up for his line selection. And yeah, it was lovely, and I was thinking, oh, this is amazing. We're gonna put 50 on these guys, and it was the worst possible thing because look, maybe we speak about psychology so much, but it has to be true. It just has to be looking at both games today. But I know, do you suddenly then you get a really good start and you think, oh yeah, this is what we thought was going to happen, or actually, because Wales could have just gone, oh God, because there was great atmosphere and then it felt very flat after that. You could actually hear people kind of talking in the stadium. But fair play to them. That was not going to be with characters like Morgan and Reffel on the pitch who were dogged.
Yeah, I've got to say I was really impressed with the Welsh character as well because they did make mistakes. I think Blair Murray dropped the very first kick that he tried to receive, but he went on to have a good game. And Wales just didn't let that stuff affect them too much today. It seemed like they had a better purpose about them. It seemed like they had more kind of character as a squad, I would say. And that probably showed up most in the scrum where they would just about getting the edge, and they were certainly getting the edge in the eyes of the referee, and won, I think it was 4 first half penalties.
Yeah, mate. Look, we had a chat off air. I'm not particularly happy. Look, I don't like blaming the referee. I never do. I know this particular referee because he was refereeing in in Champ when we were playing and coaching there. I thought he had a particularly poor game in regards to the scrum. You can't just give penalties off. Literally, the first scrum, it collapsed. There was a bit of he didn't know which way it was going, and it got called in, and it's a pen against Ireland against Porter, and then it was pen. Whereas if you watch a lot of the games, and particularly the game this afternoon with the French guy, he just lets it collapse and play off it. Well, let it collapse and play off it. So I was very frustrated. I don't understand how a guy who's been in a Lions tour and is potentially just is going to be in another Lions tour gets pinged off the park like he did today. Um, but I'm not blaming the referee for anything because I don't want to get into that, and I do not want to be disparaging against the Welsh because I thought the Welsh were freaking brilliant today, and it made look, you and I are from the same ilk. We love rugby. I don't care. Like, yes, of course we want to win, but as long as it's a good game and it's good for the competition, and that front row they battled and fought, and yeah, it was all. I just think maybe just let it go down and play away and let the backs go at it again, sort of thing. That's just my thing.
Yeah, I think maybe the referees sometimes they're under pressure, certainly to have completed scrums, whether that's completed with a penalty decision or completed as in getting the ball away. So it'd be interesting to go back and actually look at those. Was the ball playable? All that kind of stuff. But it was 2 each side, so it was 2 against Clarkson and 2 against Porter for those 4 scrums in the first half. And the Clarkson ones, I think they definitely got right because it was Clarkson lost his bind first. It looked like they both kind of went down together, but as soon as one player loses his bind, it's going to go. And that's
It's gonna
part
go.
of scrummaging.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
you
go. But
must
I
maintain
still,
that
I
bind.
still think,
You couldn't really
I
see the
still
quarter ones, though. It was harder to see.
no, and I don't understand because I think there's a lack of. I mean, clearly, and this is a huge problem in rugby, TC, and you'll agree with me. There are not enough props that referee. Um, but you and I
Not
both
fit enough.
know on your. Well, there you go, too big. But you and I both know that, like, why would you give away a penalty as a loose head on your own ball in the 22? It makes absolutely no sense. It like just anyway. I think there's a lack of kind of okay. You can say it's a double bluff, and why would you? But not on the first scrum. No way. There's no way they went into. Fogarty is not going to tell his loose head as a scrum coach. Tell you what, this is our strategy. We'll give away, just collapse it, and we'll get a penalty. It ain't happening, and they need to be better at that. I think.
Well, we actually there was a really good conversation in the comments section. I can't remember which video it is on, but one of the videos from last week. And I think the scrummaging decisions are often 45%, 55% within that range, right? Both players are trying for everything, and somebody will break a little bit. So it's a tiny thing either way. And depending on what you're looking at as the referee, and literally from one shoulder to the next, or from one bind, or where somebody's feet are, you might decide differently on the same scrum at different times
Yeah,
during the game because it is so
agree.
marginal. So I just the bottom line for me on this is it's incredibly difficult, and I wouldn't back myself to do it, even though I played 20 years in the front row myself, and I think I've got a decent grasp on it. I still, if I got 70% of the decisions right, I'd be delighted. I think.
And this, I completely agree. And this is where I think, why is he giving the decision so quickly? Like you and I have played in the front row, it is so difficult to call. So how can you be so let it now? There is an injury thing here. We have to be a little bit careful of. But if it goes down and the ball is playable, play away. Just because the crowd are bored of it. I'm bored of seeing those kind of decisions, and it's you know what, it's an easy one for him. It's an easy decision because he didn't give it against Ireland where they could have kicked the penalty for points. He's given it against the defensive team, and it doesn't matter. They just kicked the touch. So for me, it's too easy for the ref there. He's got to be stronger and just let them set again, particularly as it was the first second scrum of the game. Anyway, it's I don't like him. I'm just saying it. Sorry.
I mean, I'll be happy to talk about scrums all day, but let's talk about the rest of the game, shall we?
Let's move on. Let's talk about
Because
lineouts.
actually, I wanted to talk about Sam Prendergast because I thought, for the most
Mm,
part, well, he had a little bit of a mixed day. He had a couple of bad moments, but some of his kicking was absolutely outstanding. A couple of crossfield kicks,
top
kick
drawer. Yeah.
passes. There was a 50-22. I can't remember which half it was in now, but he spiral kicked it. He had about 3 meters to land it in, did it. And I was like, that is unbelievable.
Yeah. What were you watching it on BBC or RT
No idea.
or whatever? Jonathan Davies, Jiffy was on BBC and he was so funny because he was like, I don't think a lot of us and him have seen a spiral kick in a couple of years from a 10. And Prendergast spirals all the time. If anybody is watching him over the last few years in his 20s, in the under 20s World Cup and stuff, that's what he does. He spirals. And Jiffy was like, just go, it's a spiral, it's a spiral. He's like amazed. But yeah, that 50-22 over the head of the full back, I was just, he's really, really good. I think it was interesting because obviously Brady's on the bench, and I thought maybe we'll get on to now in a second. I'm sure the decision with the red card and stuff, but it made it a difficult decision for Easterby to do anything with Prendergast. He had to keep him there, because if anyone had got injured after that, then they would have been in big trouble. But yeah, he played well and he kicked off the tee really, really well today, which is great to see because that was one of the things I was a little bit worried about coming into the comp in terms of his place kicking.
Yeah, yeah. And Ireland during this part of the game, the early part of the game, were enjoying a lot of possession in good sort of territory positions as well, going through their phases, going through the sort of tight structure that we know and love, the short passes, all that kind of stuff. But Wales actually defended it really well for the majority of the time. They didn't sort of use too much line speed. They just stayed connected, used the touchline as their friend, and they did all right, to be honest. They absorbed a lot of Irish pressure during that time.
Yeah, they did. They did. They played very well, defended well. I thought Ireland, for me, they were a little bit soft. They played the option too many times. They played the ball out the back too many times, and I think against Wales, if they look at it again, I think they would have taken the option to use the ball carrier, the forward, and just be dominant. Just be dominant. Take your easy yards. Just get your easy yards. Let him kick. But there was a lot of pass out the back, and that's Sam. And he wanted to play today, and that was the knife edge we were talking about in terms of the prep pod that we did before the game. Was it's tough. Like, do you get suckered into trying to run everything, or do you actually just play the percentages? And I thought Ireland were a little bit poor in that. But on the opposite side of that, and you've got to say this, that Wales were exceptional. they were really good. It's not condescending. They were bloody good, and they tackled their hearts out. And when they got the ball, they were tidy.
They were. And they got to edges. So they managed to do this against the French, actually, or they got to situations where they could have got to the edge. But they never threw the pass against the French. Today, they did. They got that ball. And when the Irish players were coming up to try and cut off the corner, they threw it over the top or they found a way around it. So they just had a sort of boldness about them today, a confidence that we haven't seen so far this championship. Which was great to see. And like I say, it was causing Ireland some problems. Like, and there was a moment, wasn't there, when they got down the right hand side and Thomas Williams dropped the pass on the back inside. It looked maybe marginally forward, but we'll never know because he dropped it anyway. But Wales was starting to cause Ireland some problems. And me, as a neutral, just wanting to see a good game, I was starting to get really excited at this part.
Yeah, and I don't think that was by accident because you saw the reaction in the box of Jockey and the coaches. I think they wanted to play off that and come back, and I don't know whether it was a planned move to bring it back into the nine, but something was going on that blind side, and they were very unlucky that ball went down because that if they'd scored there, then again all of a sudden, Jesus, it's a different game.
Yeah, it is. Another tactical thing that we noticed was that off line outs in particular, the Irish wingers were playing first receiver. And not first receiver as just catch and carry. First receiver is take it to the line, pull out the back. And I was just wondering whether, because that's typically what you'd see like a 12 do, really. And I'm just wondering whether they've gone, our wingers have got better handling skills like that maybe than Robbie Henshaw does. And Henshaw's better to carry the ball up off of that kind of scenario.
Well, I mean, you're asking completely the wrong person about this. Mate, I'm throwing the ball in. I don't know. Let them do what it is. Look, I think it's clever. They probably run stuff like this before. It's all about just making the defense think and cause confusion. Um, it's a weird one because I was thinking about, and we didn't mention this the other day, but like, can you imagine all of the video tapes work done by the analysis up before this game up until last week, and they must have just gone chuck it in the bin because they didn't. There's no point. It was a completely different Welsh side. So, but maybe they just thought this is the time to check some stuff out. Maybe they're trying some different bits off. Ireland are a team like the Kiwis have been in the past to push the envelope in terms of trying different things, and it's great to see. I like it. I like it. A couple of times on that right hand side, Mac was that first, and then he looked like he was going to loop, and he didn't, and it went in. Then he did loop. It's clever. It's going to make, and maybe and again, I don't want to sound like a complete knob like the off the ball guys in Ireland of being arrogant that we expected to win, but maybe there's a little bit of the French game coming up in a couple of weeks, and maybe they're looking at putting some things in to make them think about other stuff and have Sean Edwards be putting some effort into some stuff that might happen or might not. Who knows?
Yeah, putting stuff into the French minds of just, this is what we're looking at. These are things we're doing. Quite possible, really quite possible, because, you're trying something and it's not, you're trying it to get it wrong. You want to get it right. You want to use it as an attacking force. So it makes sense to me. Um, yeah, okay. The next big incident in the game was Ringrose rushing up and banging heads with Ben Thomas. I think this was about as easy a yellow card bunker review as you'll ever
Mm,
see. Could
mm.
have been a straight red potentially because there was, but they don't do that anymore. That's taken out the referee's hands anymore now. So, um, yeah, it is what it is. I think that's
Yeah,
the only week in this scenario with the referees.
yeah, it's a difficult one. When I first saw it, I didn't think I don't know. A lot of the time, I trust my instinct on. I look at it, and if it smells bad and it looks bad, I go, yeah, it's a red. I didn't get that feel. I just didn't on this occasion. It might be bias. It might be because Ringrose isn't a dirty guy at all by any stretch. But the main thing for me was that it wasn't. It wasn't the Welsh player didn't get absolutely destroyed backwards, if you know what I mean. So it was
Yeah.
level. That's the only mitigation. And there was, well, no, it's not the only. The other one was there was a double step just before it, and he did dip. So I don't know. I thought it was a yellow, but I'm not gonna, you know, go mad because it was a red. I thought it was harsh. I'd say the only, if it hadn't been a 20-minute red and it had been just a straight red old rules, then I'd be really upset. The fact that it was a
Yeah,
20-minute red, that I can live with that sort of thing. And we'll get, hopefully we'll talk about the later on what happened with the chest on head, and that, because I think they got that wrong. But anyway, um, it made it interesting, right? Because all of a sudden, holy Jesus, we're down to 14 men, and again the off the ball lads in Ireland. We didn't discuss that, did we, on the other day, about the off the
no,
ball? Do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
embarrassing.
an embarrassment to Irish people. Like, I was so annoyed, so angry, embarrassed by them, and I apologise to any of our Welsh people that watch us. Complete dickheads. But all I could think of was like, oh God, maybe what they said is going to come through. Come true, because we're going to end up getting three lads sent off. Let's see if we can. Do you know? Anyway, um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think it was harsh on Ringrose. Sorry to go on. I think it was harsh on Ringrose because of the player he is. It was head on head. Eh, Yeah, I mean, if it was, if that's the British and Irish Lions playing against Australia in the summer, and that's an Aussie guy doing to us, I'm like, yeah, okay, I want a red there. So fair play. I've come around.
yeah,
I've come around
absolutely.
full circle.
The next thing that happened though was so we always talk about this, like real pressure moments in the game, right? So it's now 6-10. Wales are right back in the game on the scoreboard. Ireland kick off, a player down, yellow card, soon to be a red. They don't know that at the time. And Ireland managed to win the kickoff. Wales just didn't get a good pod up. I think it was Hansen won the ball. And then shortly afterwards, Will Griff John just gave a really cheap penalty away by tackling somebody off the ball. And that gave Ireland just like a foothold back into the game. I mean, they're obviously still ahead and had been dominating, but all that pressure that Wales had built just kind of just dissipated then for a moment.
Yeah, and this is the level, isn't it? Tiny little micro mistakes just add and add and add, and then all of a sudden you're on the back foot, and you give momentum back. You give an opportunity back, having done all the good work, and that's a tough thing. That's where I think, I'd see Wales winning their last two games. They've got we've got a gap week again with Jockey putting more. I mean, this will give them huge confidence, massive confidence going into the next couple of weeks. I'd love to be in that camp now. Um, they've just lost barely to one of the best teams in the world, pushed them all the way. This will give them massive confidence going forward, and if it's tying those little tiny little errors down, but still instilling confidence to go for stuff. And that's the disappointing. Those mistakes weren't where you're going for something. That was just stupid mistiming, probably bad comms, really frustrating coach killer stuff. Where and he needs to do it in a way that they don't feel under pressure. It's a catch-22, isn't it? You're trying to say you don't be under pressure, but don't mess up, and that's a tough thing. But I think when as a squad, when you're feeling good and you feel confident, those little micro things start to come right down, or you get the bounce of the ball. Either way,
Yeah, and actually, Wales did get the bounce of the ball because Prendergast hit the post with that penalty, and they won a scrum penalty soon after, kicked to the corner, and then eventually uh, Jack Morgan drove over for the try and a 13-10 half-time lead, and suddenly the Principality
banger,
was bouncing. Yeah,
bouncing. Yeah, it was bouncing, and that
yeah,
it was
fair play
funny
to
because
them.
sorry, TD, I was going to say it actually reminded the defense of the Irish there just before that was like last night watching the Welsh. On the defense by Ireland was huge on the try line. It was really good, very accurate. Did really well to keep behind the white line, which is very difficult when you're on your own line. You normally see, hands coming down, and I thought, wow. And we pushed them back and pushed them back, and then they got a penalty, and you think, oh, they'll kick to the post. No, Anskin comes up, no, no, kicked corner, and they got the try, and that must have been, as a Welsh guy, a Welsh player, that must have been awesome going in at half time. It must have been just wow. When were they last in that position? They've gone in like, come on, we got these guys. They must have thought that. It was really great, and yeah, you're right. The stadium, I mean, it seemed like it was absolutely bouncing.
Yeah, at that point, because it had been quite quiet, quite murmury, I'd say, for most of the first half. Into the second half, obviously, we'd learned by this point that we would not be seeing Ringrose back again. Obviously, Aki would come on to replace him, though, after the 20 minutes. And this was where Prendergast did make one of his mistakes out the back of shape. It looked like a bad pass to me, but he sort of dropped the ball onwards, and Will Rowlands picked it up. Prendergast jumped on his back, and I think Jameson Gibson Park jumped on his back as well. But Rowlands just lumbering on down the pitch. It was quite comical. And that led to Rogers getting over for the try. And at 18-10, more than a score ahead. Who would have thought that?
Oh no! Oh, it's just like, what is going on? Honestly, yeah, I was chatting to Harty back in Dublin on our voice notes as we do through all our games, is what we do, and we were like, we can lose this. We're going to lose this. We need to stop making mistakes, um and the whole time was Wales are good. They're up for this, and we knew they would be. But yeah, that was comical. Rollins is a big kid. Reminds me of a few nights out in Wales in Swansea, piggybacking people.
Okay, yeah. So Bundyaki came on shortly after that, and actually, as this game went on, and the way Ireland did eventually come through and win it, they did it in almost a very pragmatic way, a very sort of Irish way in some ways. They just competed really, really hard. So people like McCarthy started to really show up with his carrying. Bundyaki at the breakdown was just winning moments. Some of the kicking battles, the Irish were just winning and getting on top. They weren't trying to be too. They weren't trying to sort of go hell for leather and trying to take the game away. They kicked their 3 points when they got their chances, and they just ground their way to a win. And to be able to do that as well as a side, I think is really impressive. I was impressed with how they went about eventually winning this game.
Yeah, agreed. They weren't trying to win; they were winning, and
Yeah,
it reminds me as a young kid watching us against Australia or New Zealand. How many times New Zealand have been over the years have been in these scraps, and as a Kiwi supporter, you're there. You just know they're gonna turn it. And again, me and a few of the pals were talking about today. We need to get into that mindset of actually to be that confident to understand that we are. And it's not being cocky, it's not being arrogant, it's not disparaging or disrespectful to the competition. It's like we've got the best players in the world, and we have to have the self-confidence to know that if we just do the right things at the right time, we're going to win the game. And it felt like, kind of go back to basics. You're right. Bundy comes on, it gives them front football. Stop doing out the back. Just play. Get the yards. Get the gain line. Get the penalty. And this kid steps up and takes 50-meter kicks. um, so it's as I said, it's not about trying to win, it's about winning. You just go and do it. You don't try. The try word goes out the window. You do it. And I think that's where, as an Irish fan, it's and it's trying to get the doubt out of me as well. And trying to, without being cocky, you got to go in and go, be like a Kiwi fan, be like an Aussie fan, expect to win, but not because you think you'll turn up and they won't. It's about backing your skills and excellence, because that's what they have. To be fair,
yeah, it's a very fine line, isn't it, between being arrogant and being confident, and there is absolutely a difference. And I think this Irish team is entirely confident, and they showed that today. The one try they did get in the second half was done off the back of a penalty advantage, a cracking crossfield kick, almost off the outside of the boot from Gibson Park. I initially thought, oh, he's kicked that a bit long. Good luck.
yeah, everyone
But
did
fair play, James Lowe got up, batted it back inside for Osborne to score. Like, it was a brilliant finish.
a brilliant finish, and again, it looked planned by the reaction of certainly James Lowe. It looked like they've done it before. So, I don't know. just the way you read the body language of the player. But yeah, I thought he ballooned it. I think everyone thought it was going out, and fair dues to. And again, you're talking about you know two project players, two Kiwi guys who've come into Ireland, and they must instill that. They must do. They're our two best players. Um, and yeah, never say die, chase everything, brilliant jump, leap, hit back into Osborne, who I thought had a very good game today, considering it was first Six Nations start, and yeah, very happy to see that one get dotted down for sure.
Yeah, and that made it 18 all. Still over 20 minutes to go at this stage. So it's still completely in the balance, this game. And actually, Wales still continued to play some good rugby. They played with the shape they had done throughout up to this point. And somebody I was really impressed with for the Welsh showed up next, and that was Ellis Mee. I thought he looked
Right.
really lively every single time he got the ball. And there was a lovely moment where Wales are just sort of like running around the corners, and they do it multiple times in the same phase. And they're just waiting for an Irish defender to either bite in or fade away, bite in or fade away. And as soon as somebody fades away, you need somebody to hit that hole. And I thought Ellis Mead did that so many times, and he did it really effectively. And it was one of those times where he actually attracted, I think, three tacklers, got the offload away, and Llewellyn dropped it. And I don't know if Llewellyn would have
Yes.
scored himself, but it was a good opportunity, a really good opportunity when it was 18 all. And I felt like after that, along with all the substitutions that happened, Wales just kind of frittered away, unfortunately. As far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned, obviously, as a
Yeah. One of the many things that Wales can take out of this is the discovery of him, because I think he is a little gem. He
yeah.
fair play to them selecting him. He's only had 11, 12 games in senior rugby with his Welsh club team, but he looks the real deal. I think, did we say he was wispy? Tall,
Crispy, yeah.
rangy. Yeah, tall, rangy, good hands. Yeah, he made a couple of mistakes, but come on, he's playing in the Principality, closed roof, massive game, Six Nations. He was exceptional, and if they can build, I, I, d- I don't know if he'll be as good as a George North. I don't think he's got quite the physique, but he probably had a better debut than North did. So I thought he was an exceptional performer today, and a great find for Wales, big time.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a couple of big talking points left to go. So this was
Involving
uh,
him, right?
no, well, one of them is, yeah. So, but the first one,
Mm.
Andrew Porter carrying the ball up. I think it was from a kickoff or something similar. Yeah, Ireland have got the lead now, 21-18. I think it was directly from the kickoff. Porter carrying the ball up, got tackled by somebody. So Porter's going down, and Henry Thomas is running in, obviously to try and stop him as well. Porter's head hits Thomas right in the middle of the chest, pulled back
Yeah.
by the TMO as potential head contact. The referee dismissed it pretty quickly, to be honest, and said no foul play. And I've got to say, that was my opinion as well. Elko, what do you think?
No, 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 Bolla. I didn't say X. Um, no, I think so. He okay. The reason these rules have come into into our game is to try and change behavior, right? If you're that lazy going into contact, and you make contact with the opposition with your chest, you have not dipped. That's what we're trying to get people to dip. It's the most blatant non-dipping, lazy prop front row behavior I've ever seen. He hit him in the chest, and also if you look on the replay, he also swings at him, which made me go. "Mm." Now, what I don't like about that, so I think it should have been a yellow card, and that's it, and nothing further than that. But we're trying to change behaviour. What I didn't like, and what's coming into the game, and we need to sort this out, and it will get sorted out if the referees are better and the TMOs are better, which I thought in both games today they were pretty poor. Um, is that they Oh, completely! I've completely lost my train of thought, TT. I'm so angry with this whole thing. Um, Sorry, is that the players and the physios or the doctors? There seems to be a thing. I don't know. I'd love to be able to hear what's going on in the radio messages. Is somebody saying what we think there? Because you could hear on the ref mic the headshot, headshot, and that's not the first time we've heard it. And I just wonder, is there something going on where they say stay down? You know, that I mean, I can imagine me when I was running sort of with the med bag back in the day, coming on and going, stay down. You know, let the TMO let the TMO do their checks. You know, let's try and get a decision. And I think they need to cut that out of the game. I don't think that's right. You know, those guys shouldn't be dictating what's going on with the TMO. And are we going to talk about the decision that they made from the TMO, very like Itoje a few weeks ago, where McCarthy got done
Ah, yeah,
when he
good
came
point. We've
through with a
missed that one,
hit?
haven't we? When was that?
Well,
That was earlier in the season, wasn't
that was earlier in the first half. I mean, for me, that was a bullshit decision because
it?
um, that is not what the TMO is for. I mean, the TMO is there for foul play and protecting players. If the referee misses that, he misses it. And the only reason it came back on was because of there was a break in play for an injury. It went on the big screen. You get the whole boo, everyone going boo boo boo, and then you come back for that. I mean, that's not right. That should never have been a penalty. And for all the English fans to say, "Well, hang on, Maro did the same thing in the Aviva." No, that's not. It wasn't the same thing. The referee gave the penalty straight away because he knew something had gone wrong when the ball went over the top. That's different. We're talking about a decision made. We're sitting there waiting for the scrum. Someone's down injured, and then the referee sees it and then changes his mind. That's if you're a neutral watching that, you're going, "What's going on? Ridiculous." You know. So anyway, sorry, TT.
That's all right. My opinion's slightly different, but it's not definitely against what you've just said. I'm really undecided about this because I want less TMO in the game, but at the same
Oh,
time,
100%.
yeah, but at the same time, on a massive decision like that, where it's like a goal line decision, where it could be a scrum to Ireland or a penalty to Wales, and it is a clear mistake. Like the referee has made a mistake in the decision he made. He gave what he saw. He thought it was a knock on by the Welsh, but it wasn't. It was not. His arm was knocked while he was still in the air, so it was a penalty. Uh so one side of me says I want those decisions to be right. Massive moments in the game where there's a clear error by the referee, but half of me wants the TMO to be less involved in the game. So I'm really split. I'm not sure what I want, to be honest.
It's it's a tough one because if you again is subjective, which is the beauty of rugby, and every decision is subjective, right? But if you then go right, that's the way it has to be, then we'll never finish a game. There'll be
Yeah,
penalties every single
potentially.
ruck,
Yeah,
you know. Whereas actually, frankly, as a purist, I would rather there was no TMO. Like literally, get rid of the TMO. Get rid. Let the referees be the characters they want to be. You know, it is a difficult one, but I was a little bit annoyed with that one, and then later on what we just spoke about there about Ireland trying to get the whole thing by slowing the game down, bringing the physios on, and playing the game. I don't think that's right by either side. It's wrong.
yeah, yeah. I agree on that point for sure. Okay, while we're talking about the TMO, Ellis Mee almost scored a try in the corner. It was given by the on-field officials. They were very aware, though, that it was a very, very tight call. I think they pretty much said that as well at the time. And when the replay started getting played, I was like, "Oh my goodness me, this is so close!" Like I couldn't. I found it very difficult to call initially until they showed the angle along the goal line, and then you could see that the ball was actually grounded short of the line first, or it certainly appeared to be. And then as he moved forward, it sort of got grounded on the line slightly afterwards. And from the other angle, like it looked like left elbow and ball landed at exactly the same time. So I was thinking try. But when I saw the ball landed short of the line and then move forward, I was like, maybe he's in touch.
Uh, Try all day long.
You think?
And yeah, 100%, and only because of what the referee said. Right, the
Right.
referee said it's a try. We sat there for 5 minutes as soon as they went to Tempest in the TMO, Tempest literally said, "Oh my God, this is going to be really tight." As soon as he said that, they should have awarded the try. This is what happened to Scotland
Right.
last year. You know, on the back foot. I can't say what I said about what happened with Scotland. Or was it maybe 2 seasons ago, where you know it depends on what the referee says. If the referee had said on field try, that would have been a try, or should have been a try. You've got to go with that. You've got to go with what you're trying to disprove. And if there's not like clear, I don't think it was clear enough for me. It was so tight. Um, and again, I'll say it again. If we're all together watching Australia and the Lions in the summer, and that decision goes against us next year, or sorry, this summer, we'll be really pissed. You know, uh, take that stuff out of the referee. I think again, get rid of the TMOs, TTTMO.
Yeah, that's my future job. But anyway, during that period, what really amused me was that they then flipped back to the Welsh coaching box, and Matt Sherratt just appeared back in with a cup of coffee.
Getting
So
a
while
cup
they
of
were
tea.
messing around doing
Yeah,
the TMO stuff, he nipped off for a bit of caffeine.
he did. Well, it might have been a little bit something a bit stronger. You don't know.
Allegedly, allegedly. To be honest, that was kind of the end of the game. Like, I think Ireland got another penalty shortly afterwards. There was a great counter up by Josh van der Fleer. Bundiaki's nose was all over his face. But I think we've covered
Yeah,
everything off. There was a lot of talking points in this game. A lot of things to talk about.
there was loads of stuff. If I can mention Boyle, who came on, I don't know you as a front rower. He only had one scrum, but my God, he looked really good. Like
It was
he
a good
his
scrum.
body shape. It was a great scrum for a young 22-year-old kid. You know, his first bit of international. So that was really great for me. And yeah, I thought Aki was exceptional when had his nose smashed and everything else, and made a made a big difference when he came on. But loads of talking points. What we want in Six Nations. Um, Rather be talking about the play, get rid of TMO or as much as we can, and let the players. I don't. Have you? I'm just gonna just a little bit of an aside, but have you listened to Dunico Callan's podcast with Tommy Bowe?
No.
Well, I only found out about it today, and Dunico Callahan talked for about 7 minutes about um the profile of a prop's body. I just know you'll love it, and any of our rugger buggers who are into that naughty stuff. But they've had this out for about 2 years apparently, and it's a brilliant podcast. But they had Nigel Owens on, and I was listening to this afternoon, coming back from the pub, to watch the game, and he was saying the same thing. Just take, let the characters and the referees deal with it, and just take away a bit more. The TMO is probably too much, or you go the other way, and this is my opinion, not his, or you become NFL and you have cameras everywhere, and you've got someone sitting in a thing in a bunker, and they make the decision. But I think it's better we kind of regress a little bit. Let's see.
Yeah. Overall, I agree. Yeah, I do. I've been feeling like we need less TMO for the last couple of years, and yeah, even though that one's split me today, that lineup decision, it's yeah, I think that's generally the case. Okay, let's bring this to an end, mate. That's what we think, folks. There's a lot of stuff to talk about there. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, because me and Elko have disagreed on various bits here, and I'm sure you all have some interesting points to make as well. Let's chat it all through in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up while you're down there if you don't mind. Helps other people find it. Elko, thank you so much today, and glad your Irish team got a win, even though it was a little tricky.
It was very tricky, and I'm glad the Welsh are back. Great to see.
Yes, me too. Thank you very much, folks. And you can subscribe there. You can watch that one next. And don't forget to get out and play.